Thank you so much for clicking on this link. I'm so proud to introduce our associates. My promise is to speak only for a couple of minutes, and then Pat, Crystalie, and Michelle will tell you how they support our clients. As most of you know, given I've been facilitating for almost 30 years, my focus is good character. Good organizational character in terms of creating safe, respectful workplaces and offering leaders the tools to develop civil, healthy, effective teams. I am so grateful and humbled to have worked with so many hardworking, dedicated leaders over the years. And now, as promised, our associates. These three wonderful people are joining the center so we can offer aligned complementary tools and services. They're seasoned individuals of high integrity and excellent skills. Pat McCann, who's up first, is an extraordinary person and facilitator, as well as a dedicated learning champion. Pat, would you please tell us about you and your work?
Sure, thank you. So as Kathleen said, my name's Pat McCann, and a little bit about my background. So I started out in operations and food service, so working my way through assistant manager, general manager, multi-unit supervisor. And then I got into this training world and really found that I had a passion for leadership developing and helping leaders develop their skills. And I've been doing that now for 25 years. My areas of what I would say focus, or what I'm really passionate about, would be sort of goal setting and alignment. So helping teams come together and really be aligned on the same things and working on the same things. And then change leadership. So helping leaders really become effective when it comes to leading their teams through change and managing change. And I can tell you a little bit about how that one came about. You know, over the years, been in a number of meetings with executives where we were talking about a recent change that have been implemented, and we didn't achieve all the results that we needed to. You know, some leaders did a phenomenal job, some leaders maybe struggled a bit, but in the end, there was inconsistency in the results. Along came a really significant organizational change that we knew would be challenging. It was going to require our frontline employees to completely change the way that they think and work. And for our leaders, it was going to require them to change the way that they lead, the way that they talk to the people, the questions they ask, how they measure the business. So we know we couldn't keep doing the same thing we had always done. So we regrouped and talked about what could we try. And we brought all of our leaders together for a day to talk about this change. And what we didn't talk about was the change itself, the thing. We talked about their role as a leader. How can they effectively get their people ready for change? And how can they support their people through change? And how can they follow up to make sure that the change really sticks and it's successful? And this approach worked. When we implemented the change, we had some great success. In fact, compared to North America, we were one of the divisions of 5. We exceeded the results that were expected, and we were the top region across North America. And the other cool thing was then as we went on to the next change that came along, those leadership skills that we developed transferred over, and we found that we really had something magical. Like the skills that we developed with our leaders carried forward as we went through other change initiatives, and we kept seeing the same improved result. I've now had the opportunity on my own to take it out with some other clients, use that exact same framework, and had exactly the same success. So it's a really exciting opportunity to really help leaders develop their ability to lead other people through change. So how does that relate to the center? I think I can really help Kathleen's associates and her clients by bringing that added value around how do you effectively lead change, or around the goal setting and alignment. And I think there's some real value to be able to offer that to her clients. At the same time, offer everything that the center offers to my clients, because that's also exciting as well. So I'm really excited to be an associate, and thank you, Kathleen.
Oh, thank you, Pat. And I know we've worked together already with some of our clients very successfully. They absolutely really appreciate the work you do, as do I. So thank you, Pat. Great. So next up, we have our dynamic Crystalie. Crystalie is an engaging, seasoned facilitator and sales professional. So Crystalie, if you would, please.
Thank you, Kathleen. So I'm going to start off by sharing a little bit about my story. And so I always knew that I had a gift to sell, and I excelled in every sales position that I've ever taken on. But I reached a point in my career where I felt like I really wanted something different. I started to feel really burnt out from this sales hustle. So I quit. I did some consulting, training, and teaching over a 3-year period. And I found myself growing really tired of the contracts ending and looking for new opportunities. But really, the truth of it was that I missed the rush of selling, and not to mention the steady paycheck. So I found a family-owned and operated company that seemed like the perfect fit. I started in the worst territory in all of North America. It hadn't been worked in 2 years. I started at the bottom with no leads, no funnels, no contact. It was like as if someone had asked me to climb Mount Everest and gave me a pair of flip-flops to start my climb. And the region was unfamiliar to me. About 80% of it was farmland. And I remember thinking, like, how am I ever going to build a strong book of business with such little resources? And I felt defeated before I had even begun. But I started to pound the pavement, build a network, and within a year and a half, I started to see that I was actually outperforming the sales reps that were in urban areas and had 20 more experiences than what I had. So then I found myself being promoted to a provincial role where it was a test pilot for the entire country to see if there was an opportunity for other sales reps to expand into this gap market. And within that role, I grew it inside of 12 months and was promoted to corporate accounts. And it was there where I managed a book of business worth about $20 million. And I found that I was bringing in over $1 million in new business each year during my time in that role. And what's interesting is as I reflect on the story and the path that my career had taken, I was offered management roles, but I declined because each person I knew in those roles were sitting there because it was perceived as some sort of reward in having been successful in sales, but none of them had any experience on or training on how to be a manager or how to lead. They simply just modeled the manager who they replaced. And I saw this on a variety of different levels and departments through multiple organizations. And none of this made sense to me until I started my master's and studied leadership. And it finally became clear to me why I made some of the decisions that I did during the course of my career. And it turns out it was the influence of the leaders that I was following at the time. Some were good, some not so good. And all of this new information and research really made me more curious about organizational leadership and how to improve employee engagement. And I suddenly felt this burning desire to share the knowledge of the sales that I had accumulated during my career while blending it with this new knowledge. So I help service-based sales teams increase their performance by strengthening their resiliency and uncovering their sales culture so that they can really start to open up the floodgates on their earning potential. Here's what I found is that most sales professionals are stressed out about not reaching their sales targets. And depending on what level of stress they're facing, some may be sitting day in and day out in fear of being put on a performance improvement plan or even just getting fired. And they're frustrated, not just by the customers, but also if you're a leader on how to retain and or remain as that top sales talent. And they don't know what to do because the managers have so little experience or have little or to no experience in mentoring, coaching, and training. And everyone on the team is feeling overwhelmed and distracted by the increasing demands of the daily tasks. And really, ultimately, what these teams are wanting is just the rock star results that meets and exceeds their goals without a bunch of hand-holding, coaxing, or sweet talking. But instead, they think the problem is that sales reps aren't working hard enough or completing the amount of activity to produce the results that the organization expects. So they just end up pushing their sales reps to work harder and pound the phones harder. And that really just ends up causing a lack of trust within the team. The real problem is that they believe selling is solely based on numbers and probability and totally neglect the idea around authentic human connection. And in order to create the results that they really want and take their sales to a new level and hit their numbers with ease, they have to develop and take ownership of a radically different sales culture, which is grounded in authentic human connection. So I facilitate, coach leaders, teams, and individuals based on 5 principles that I've learned and practiced into creating high-performing sales results. And I believe that this is completely in alignment with the Center for Character Leadership. As you said, Kathleen, character is such a big component of leadership, and it's really that connection of human, authentic connection. So I'm really excited to be a part of this team and collaborate and see what types of change and beautiful impact we can make on organizations together.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks, Crystal Lee. That's lovely and very kind. Thank you. And Michelle Winkler. So Michelle brings a tremendous and really interesting background as well as very well-honed skills. So I'm honored to introduce you and have you with us. Michelle, please.
Thank you, Kathleen. Well, the honor is mine in being in the company of such accomplished people. Thank you. A little bit about myself. I started my career in Toronto many moons ago in marketing for telecom. And I did that for, a number of years at Bell and at an Allstream, about over 10 years. And then I kind of had a little itch to get a little bit of a break from winter and a little bit of adventure. And so that took me to the island of Aruba, the birthplace of my parents. And I worked there for also a small startup for many years. And then I was asked to join a political party. And, at the time I had no interest whatsoever. I, didn't know anything about politics at all. But what I realize about myself now is that, if something's a little scary and it seems like a real challenge, I'm kind of like a moth to a flame. I'm drawn to it. So I took up this challenge and I, in a short campaign, I was elected to be the Minister of Economic Affairs in 2009 and then a second term in 2013 as the Minister of Education. So this incredible experience that, really shaped the idea of what leadership is for me and really gave me the first experience about character. I think character under the context of politics is a very interesting discussion. After I did 2 terms, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I knew, politics was definitely not my calling as a career politician. So I decided to kind of reset the brain and go back to school. I also did a master's at the University of Guelph, a master's in leadership, and that's where I met Kathleen. And Kathleen really inspired so much in me, from both as a coach and also this notion about character. And that's really what kind of prompted me to continue in the coaching field. And it's just really interesting how these 2 things kind of connect, character, coaching, leadership, all of these 3 elements of what we see, on a daily basis in so many places where good character makes the difference in an organization, makes a profound impact in people's lives. So that really is something that drew me, and I'm so glad to be part of the Center for Character Leadership. Talking about it the other day to somebody, and it really was this statement where character is really what remains in a room long after a person's left, right? Mm-hmm. Whether character or bad character. And that really, I think, describes it. For myself, I coach individuals and teams, and I have a distinct, let's say, focus for female leaders, and especially Black, Indigenous, and people of color, because they face a different set of challenges and barriers. So really talking to them about how to navigate a lot of these twists and turns that often seem like a labyrinth instead of a glass ceiling. So, again, I'm just so pleased to be part of this team and really this important work that is what really needed. I think, never before has well-being and leadership all centered around this notion of good character. So I'm really pleased and looking forward to having these conversations, character conversations, and really unpacking everything that needs to be explored.
Thank you. And what an exciting thought to be working with you and to support our clients. And I can't imagine anything more rewarding. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone, for speaking. And what I'm going to do right now is put a final slide up. And this is our how to reach us. So everyone is available through the Center for Character Leadership slide, which is www.centerforcharacterleadership.com. So I think we'll end it there. And thank everyone for your time, and have a great day. Absolutely, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.